Good morning, gamers. I hope you've been having a wonderful weekend so far. So, we had a question, what do I use on my sandbuck that I'm using when I'm making the videos? So, apparently people like it to build. So, I'm going to show you what I ended up doing. We did a few little altercations to it, alterations or whatever, trying to change some things around. Just trying new stuff that some of our members had mentioned, some of our subscribers had mentioned. So, what I ended up settling on is pretty much going to the back to the basics of what I found that actually works for me. Now, something may work differently for you. So here's what I'm running on this. So on my weapons, as far as my bow, the port, and the starboard, I am running these Zama 3s. The Zama 3, that's what I like to run on that. And then on the stern, I run this Fire Bombard 3. It's going to give you those blaze effects that are so wonderful with this ship. And then on my auxiliary, if I'm going to be running a situation like Cutthroat Cargo or something, I know I'm going to run into Brigantines, I switch over to a LaFleur, mainly because it's going to zap those stamina buffs away from those Brigantines so you can catch up to them. But typically I'm using the Leopold 3 as I'm out because you never know when you're going to run into some sort of a plague ship situation as of right now in this season. So it's kind of what I'm running now. It seems to work for me. When it comes to armor, I've tried the Black Prince. I prefer the Ouroboros for my uses. Both are good armors. I like those little heels from it as you're bracing. Then when it comes to the furniture, we are using the Lapotent schematics. That's going to increase damage to weak points to enemy ships by 10%. That's also including your PvP ships. It reveals the weak points on the fleet of Pestilence, but it's also revealing those weak points on those other player ships. So you're going to have a little bit of an edge if you keep that on your ships, and I recommend that you keep it on your ships. Then, of course, I use the Scrapper Station. That gives you an 8,000 whole health restore after every crew attack. So that's another great furnitured piece to have on there. I also run this double planked hull, which increases the max hull by 5%, which is about between 15 1700 more on the health, which isn't a whole lot, but that 15 to 1700 really comes in handy while you're waiting on a cooldown for a repair kit. Then put on the Demi Cannon Works. That's going to increase the elemental damage multiplier of the Demi Cannons, which are those Zamas, by 19%. So you're increasing your chance to cause that blaze effect with that. And then the Demi Cannon Furnace, which increases the maximum range of a Demi Cannon by 10%. So if you don't have that on, these Demis are really short range, but it's going to give you that thing to, it's not quite there to, it's just enough to be able to get that shot in there. So it's definitely a great piece of furniture to put on those ships. When it comes to the ship cosmetics, I like to run the Sun and Slate. And depending as I open new stuff up, I will change that around a little bit. But I like the glow effect of the emblem at night. It's pretty nice. Then you can run kind of whatever you want as far as your banners and stuff. Right now I just use Dusk Door. It looks pretty good. It gives the sails kind of a worn look without having a bunch of holes in it, obviously. And then, of course, you have a lot of these different types of emblems you can use. I prefer the From the Abyss emblem. If you're wondering where you can get that at, that is located in the black market. You could probably buy at the docks. Well, it used to cost 50 pieces of 8. I don't know what the cost is now. That was back in the open beta when I had actually picked that up. So, it's just kind of purely cosmetic, whatever you want to do for that type of stuff. And of course, they've got these new investigations coming out where you can run those and pick up some new types of stuff for your ship. Is pretty nice. But we're going to go ahead and put this out and show you how effective it is. So that's one of the things, we see a lot of build suggestions and stuff, and I've tried some, and I don't know how these guys are picking their 8s up from the map, because it can be a struggle with some of the builds I've seen recommended using like the Skurlock long 9s in the front, where you're basically, if you can hit the area, you're going to do pretty good, but you're negating your fire damage. So we tried to use those long fire cannons and the 3s, and if you could hit the spot, you could get a pretty good effect on occasion, but it just wasn't as effective as using a Demi. And I know that they say they have a longer range of 1,000 meters. What I was finding is anything outside of 550 to 600 meters, you were getting a lot of drop on those cannonballs. So again, it's going to depend on your skill set and what your preferred play method is. See if we can run into some plague ships here. We'll go pick up some mates. That's going to bring these things in. So I've had quite a few new members that have joined in since we sent out our little video, kind of talking about the Discord. So that's been awesome, man. We had last night's situation where I was in here and it was just a random. They were struggling. I just went around, picked my eights up, and this guy was kind of following around, and they sent a friend request and it sent in a chat request on the Xbox. So got to talk to him a little bit and wanted me to run with him, see if I could figure out what was wrong with the ship, and it was a situation where you need to upgrade your weapons if you're having to make 20, 30 shots at a ship. Now a plague ship's a little different. Some of those, I don't know what's going on, if it's just a bug or if some of those are actually nerfed up to be pretty tough. And if it is, then yeah, it keeps the game feeling a little more competition in there. But you shouldn't have a situation where they're able to completely just nerf you out of the water, man. If you are, then you've got something amiss in your build. Typically, when you pick up this location, you're going to get hit with a plague ship somewhere in this vicinity. I'm not seeing him though. I did hear something chime, so maybe he's popped in here. Yep, there he is, just to our left. So what I do, I don't run from plague ships. They carry stuff that I like to keep as far as materials. Always brace just before the impact gets there and you're not wasting as much stamina. This actually looks like a helm rogue to me. We're going to see, and they don't last long if it is. Yeah, this isn't a plague. He'll pop pretty quick. We'll go ahead and sink him. I'll toss a rope. If it grabs him, cool. If not, I just move on. Again, you get your silver and your silver chest and stuff from those guys. It's a nice little deal. So that's something you got to watch out for with the blaze effect, is you might end up in a situation where you do harm to the locals. That's not an excuse not to use it, because you need that crowd control a lot of times. But yeah, man, and typically when I'm actually out collecting my eights, I go ahead and turn it into a farm run. Usually I pick up a roving mission and I'll go destroy the roving helm liaison. That way you get that double payout on the products. It doesn't actually cost you any silver, so that's a great way to do things as well. I don't really deliver the skull products much anymore. But when I do, on occasion I might say, I need that extra couple hundred or something. I'll go ahead and I'll load that up. When I get to the location, rather than actually selling, I just go ahead and again blow up the helm liaison, which gives you a mark for death rating, which is going to give you those helm rogues that you've seen us blow up just a second ago in just a couple shots. Those are really great things to do with those. Instead of having plague fleets, you're going to see more of those if you have an open wanted from there, or marked for death as they call it. So it's going to depend obviously on your gameplay, but I just kind of wanted to show, because to me collecting the eights is just something that I get up and I'll do it in the evening as I go to sleep. We've got a lot of eights. We've got quite a few 10s coming in that we're building in on our major connection hubs, so that makes it so I don't have to be on here as much to continue to fund and collect. Definitely worth getting those levels up, guys. At least to a 5, that's going to help you with about 5 hours worth. When you get it to an 8, it's going to give you a 15-hour span there that you don't have to be collecting, and funding those warehouses. And once you hit level 10, it's over a day. So I mean, it seems like it's something like 36 hours or something, or somewhere around in there, before you'll have to fund again. Now you will have to pick up periodically. You do have a larger bank, which is nice. And what I find is I typically will pick these things up as they get to about a quarter to a half full. Sometimes they will fill up. That usually gives my 8 times to reach the full capacity of the bank. And my 10s, that they're going to take quite a bit longer, obviously, but they usually have a pretty good amount. So I just collect everything at one time and try to keep my silver runs, as far as like getting everything started, I try to keep that in sync if you can. But as you start getting some different levels, you're going to realize some are lasting longer than others. So that's going to be dependent upon your gameplay. But I've not run into a situation, maybe I'm just very lucky. I don't see a whole lot of these helm ships. Now I think what's happening is, instead of dealing with the plague ships and the helm ships that come out, people are running, which will cause them to continue to follow you, and each time you pick up a new location, it's going to give it the invite to spawn even more. So if that's what's happening to you, you're having these large fleets, stop running from them, start blowing them up. If you don't have the ability to destroy them effectively, you need to get that LePotent schematic. It's going to be a big help to you, because even using the Zama 3s, if you're not running that schematic, you're not going to be effectively putting out damage on those ships, getting that 10% buff, and you're not going to get credit for actually hitting the weak spots that you know kind of where they're at on ships. But if it doesn't show because you can't see it, you're not going to get that bonus buff. So that's probably why you're struggling with it. So what can you do to get the LePotent schematic? That's actually found. The blueprint for that is found in the pass. I believe you're going to have to get 20 credits, pass credits, to get that, smuggler points, whatever they want to call it. You need about 20 to open that up in that line. One of the things that I've been doing over here is, as long as people are bringing the materials, I end up building it for it. Sorry about the dog barking. When I get to recording, he decides he wants attention and he starts his little stuff, you know. But that's one thing, having a little fur baby around, you know. But yeah, so I'm hoping that this kind of helps you out. Like I say, if you destroy those ships immediately, as soon as you see them, turn into them, go ahead and destroy them. Don't be running from them. Now, you can keep them at the rear, shooting your fire bombards and your mortars at them. But you want to make sure that you are getting them destroyed between your last pickup and your next pickup, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to be compounding those ships and having large fleets come and harass you. And the larger the fleet gets, it starts to remove the smaller level ships, and it starts to add in those bigger level ships. And that's something you really need to watch out for, is those I call it a longboat, man. It basically looks like a sandbuck or a brigantine. It's kind of a mix between the two. I'm not really sure what kind of ship they're running there, but it has the flamethrowers and stuff on it. And as long as you're running the Ouroboros, it's going to have one of the best stats against the fire blaze effect damage. So I definitely always recommend it. But like I say, those are personal preferences, folks. So I hope this has kind of told you, give you some ideas for your ship. I had quite a few questions about what am I running on my ship based on the videos, because we do try to find situations where, when we're making a video, we're bringing you some of the excitement things, and I'm showing you some of the issues that we see reported, which is typically from the ship. So again, this is a broadsider. That kind of a fancy looking sail, though, that is only spawned after you do some kind of a helm mission where you've destroyed the helm liaison, and it's going to spawn these more than it will the plagued fleets. And it helps if I actually hit the right area, obviously. So again, I do that as the helm wanted level, guys. The reason I do that, if you've seen, we got the 17 poppy. Every time you take out one of those ships, you're going to be receiving the products, the helm products. It's not a lot, but they do add up. You figure if you got 10 locations, you face 10 ships, it's going to be over 100 of those products, which works great. We do a lot of the fort raids because they have the higher amounts. But one of the things I have discovered is running fort raids. If you got a team of 4 or 5 guys, yeah, you can take a fort down pretty quick. You can drop a lot of those forts, and it's a lot of fun. I'm not really doing those just for the helm resources. That's more or less to get the fun of actually taking out some of those larger forts into Indies. But one of the things you're going to find out is you're actually going to be getting just as much resource by running a roving helm mission to pick up, but instead of paying them the silver. Now, I understand you need the silver to be able to start the contract to begin with, but once you get to a situation where you've got the silver, you can pick up as many contracts as you want, and you just go out and you destroy the helm liaison and go pick up your 8s. You're not going to see as many plague fleets that way. I'm going to run these back into St. Anne. I've got a few guys on Discord that look like they need some help with some stuff, so we're going to hop off here, guys. Y'all have a wonderful day, and definitely check in those comments if you're interested in joining an active community that works together. Like I say, I don't think, unless we got some of the new guys that joined us this morning, I don't believe there's anybody in our crew that we haven't been able to get them some the LePotent schematic, and even some of these weapons that we're using on these ships, because we all work together. Eventually PvP's coming, and we want to make sure we are all up to date on this game and ready to rock and roll. So Y'all have a wonderful day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Hit the little notification bell. That's going to let you know as we release new videos when you log into your YouTube group. And we're going to be coming out with some information here on Monday, I believe. Monday evening, definitely check in. Monday evening, Tuesday morning, we're going to break down whatever kind of new releases they do in the schedule maintenance. Y'all have a wonderful day.